Joining us on the line is Warren Nord. He's an intellectual property, bankruptcy, and litigation lawyer at Nord Law in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He just represented Shelley Luther, who, of course, was the owner of Salon a la Mode, and she was arrested for opening her salon against stay-at-home orders and released yesterday. Warren, thanks so much for joining the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
So why don't you start by giving us sort of the facts of the case? What exactly did Shelley Luther do? In what fashion was she looking to open her salon again?
Okay, so she closed when everybody said we've got to close. And then 1 week went by, 2 weeks went by, a month goes by. Shelley is told of a lawsuit that we were putting together that was challenging a lot of these executive orders. As you know, there's a governor's executive order, then there's a county judge executive order, and then there's a city executive order. And then you have some code enforcement guy that's enforcing his version of whatever those are. And so it's very strange across the state. You have a lot of different executive orders being affected, impacting a lot of people a lot of different ways. So Shelley joined with that effort, which was filed, and 4 of the 9 members of the Texas Supreme Court filed a concurrence and said, "Hey, we'll come talk to you later on this, but you got to go talk to the district courts first." So while that was going on, she said, "I can't wait. I've got stylists that are starving. I'm going to open." And so we had a long talk, and I promise you, Ben, I told her this could happen. You can go to jail, and she understood that. So she opened on the 24th, I think it was, and then that same day, Clay Jenkins, the county judge of Dallas County, brought her had a minion bring her a cease and desist letter, which he has no power to write, but he did. And then she got a citation, and then the city of Dallas filed suit, sought an injunction. Then we had an injunction hearing. I came back. The local rules of Dallas says that I get 2 hours of notice before a TRO hearing, but I didn't get that. And so I walked in from lunch and they said the court wants to talk to you. Okay, here we are. And so we had a TRO hearing, temporary restraining order that said you got to not operate anymore. She continued to operate, and so a few days later, the city of Dallas filed a request for a show cause for finding of contempt, and then we had that contempt hearing, and of course, that's been all over the news. You've seen that before. So we had the contempt hearing. The court actually, I'll just give a moment. The court did not come down as hard as it could have. It said that it could continue to operate. The salon has continued to operate since it first reopened, but it's paying a fine of $500 a day. Then we filed, so she was remanded into the custody that day on the 5th. All day the 6th, we wrote a writ of habeas corpus petition. And the morning of the 7th, yesterday, the Supreme Court reacted, and here we are.
So when she was looking to reopen, it sounds like Ms. Luther was doing so in responsible fashion. She wasn't just saying, come in here willy-nilly, fill up all of the seats, spit on each other. That she was attempting to be responsible in how she reopened her business, correct?
That's correct. Everybody wants to say, okay, it's either open or not open. In fact, the new executive order says you're just open, but you have to do some things, right? We were doing those things before we were required to, just like a lot of the grocery stores were putting out markers before they were required to. So the assumption has always been that if we don't have a law or a rule, then everybody's going to be as irresponsible as possible. Certainly that you can find examples of that, but Shelley Luther was not one of those. She took off all the magazines people would normally go through. There's no drinks hanging around. The chairs are parked, 6 feet apart from each other. Nobody was allowed in. Interestingly enough, the cops came in the first time and she said, "No, you got to go back and get your mask." So that was kind of an interesting point.
So what are the current restrictions in the city of Dallas? There have been rumors that this business is going to be able to open up anyway within a week or within a week and a half. So what are the current restrictions there?
As of today, salons can open. And so that's the funny part is that, okay, so Ms. Luther is in jail or was in jail for 7 days for her past crime of, we can summarize it as heresy against the state. Now, I'm not saying that you should go around disobeying court orders all the time, or that the court wasn't within his right mind or doing something crazy to not punish her at all. But we just felt like it went over the top. The current restrictions allow restaurants 25%. They allow a lot of things at 25%. They don't allow the bars or gymnasiums, and so those are still. I think actually they're at 25% too. The bars are still closed. Okay, so here's the problem with executive orders. When you legislate by an executive order, you don't have the normal process, and so you have to make these consistent changes. If you're a restaurant that serves as a bar often, so you have the 51% over alcohol, you can't operate, even if you got a full restaurant. So all of these bars are looking, I could run as a restaurant, but the executive order doesn't allow them to do that. So over a period of time, we expect more reasonableness in our rules. Nobody would have filed this lawsuit or opened 2 days after when we thought the virus was going to be zombie Walking Dead. We're all, plague. But weeks and weeks later, we expect these rules to tighten up and be more rational.
So people are obviously very upset about all of this. Shelley Luther became a cause celeb, as well she should, because she is speaking for literally hundreds of thousands of people across the country who work at small businesses, millions of people who work at small businesses, who are saying that these lockdowns are just not, it is not possible to go on this way. So if people are angry at the authorities, which level of authority should people be angry at? I've seen some people angry at the local authorities in the Dallas area, some angry at the judge. I've seen some people who are angry at the governor, saying that the governor has not been clear about exactly what the orders should be and what exactly the standards should be across the state.
Well, it's a typical problem you have, when you're governing by executive order or fiat, you need to have feedback. And so the people that are enforcing this are the ones that actually need the most direct feedback. In the hinterlands and backwoods of Texas, it's the sheriff who walks around, I am the law, and does whatever he wants. And he says, I'm enforcing the governor's edicts, and he does literally what he wants. Here locally, it's often a code enforcement guy that's working under the Dallas. Dallas has the 4th amended emergency regulations, not a law, treated like a law, but it's not a law. And so those people, the problem is these people kind of fly under the radar. Who knows who their county commissioner is or who their city council's people are? What I want people to do is to remember the anger that they feel right now in May when we elect the city council people and these mayors, so that they understand, no, you do have an impact on our life. And sometimes that impact is a little over the top.
So how is your client doing today? I mean, obviously, it's been a very tumultuous week. How's she doing today?
Well, she's doing very well. I think she's out visiting some people right now. She was in there for 2 nights. It's long enough to find out that you don't want to be there very long. So she's going to take a few days. She's got a lot of death threats. And of course, people who don't want to work don't want her to succeed. So she's taking a few days. She's not doing any mass appearances, although she's doing some local media and some national media. Ben, if I could just say that what we need to do is we need to give feedback to the people that are issuing executive orders, which you just asked me about a minute ago. But I would ask, since you're an attorney, there are 100,000 attorneys. I should not be getting all these phone calls, right? And I didn't start off as a constitutional, theorist. I'm just a business guy. But there are 100,000, and a lot of people are very competent. And I shouldn't be getting calls from North Carolina because nobody in North Carolina can be doing this. But what I do like, and what Shelley's done, and this is what she's really done, is provide an example to a lot of people. My understanding is the governor of Massachusetts said, I don't want to be another Texas, as he opened up the golf courses. So people need to understand that this is not an economics versus people issue. This is a people versus people issue. We can't say, you guys have to take all the sacrifice. I'm only going to hear that from people who have given all of their money and emptied themselves of wealth. If you want to do that and show that you're willing to sacrifice that, then you can ask other people to do the same.
Well, Warren Nord, thank you so much for joining the program. The lawyer for Shelley Luther, among other things. His firm is Nord Law in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I really appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Ben Shapiro Show. If you did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you stay up to date on all of our future content.